Not until you admit what you did.
I didn't do anything. You're the one.
I did nothing wrong.
Just when we think something happy is happening on Cloak and Dagger, they go and flip the script. So let's break down Season 1, Episode 8 and find out just what happened. What's going on, you lovely people? Lisa here, and my current status is bummed because I'm sitting here in my room and not at Comic-Con. Yeah, I think this is the first time in like the past 5 years I haven't been down there, and it makes me sad, but fingers crossed I'll be there next year. But I'm having fun hanging out with you guys and chatting all about this week's episode of Cloak and Dagger Tell Ghost Stories. And quick reminder, if you like what you see, I sit here and talk about a lot of things, I ramble, and sometimes I interview cool people too, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Now first, since there are so many Marvel shows in existence, many have wondered if Cloak and Dagger will ever exist in the same universe as some of those other shows, or even the Marvel Cinematic Universe when it comes to the movies. The obvious one here would be Runaways, since these characters do cross over in the comics, but we actually learned in this episode that Cloak and Dagger exists in the same universe as Luke Cage. Yeah, I'm going to talk about more of that later on during the recap. We also finally get to see Ty's chance to really shine when it comes to his powers and controlling them, which I actually really loved seeing, and I thought it was a cool little plot line there. I also really wish I had his powers of teleportation. I mean, look at how much money and time that would save. But let's go ahead and break down this episode. So it's the 8th anniversary of the death of Nathan Bowen and Billy Johnson, and let's just say Tandy and Tyrone's families are handling things totally different. Tyrone's household is very tense, and people would rather not talk about the day, while Tandy has come around, and for the first time in years, she wants to attend the memorial tradition that her mother does to honor Nathan every year. In fact, Tandy is even volunteering to get the balloon this year, but I mean, she's probably gonna steal it, right? So this episode kicks off with little Tyrone and Tandy 8 years ago before the dark events, as we see them actually having good times with Nathan and Billy. Nathan sounds like one of those inspirational posters on the wall of your English classroom, as he's helping Tandy with her ballet stuff, giving her life advice and saying how you gotta overcome distractions, and you know, if someone else falls down, that's how you succeed. You're strong enough to hold yourself up. While on the other side of town, Billy and Tyrone are playing thumb war, and Tyrone's like, I want to be like you, and Billy's like, you're gonna grow up to be better than me. Then we see the horrific events of the day, and we see Tandy and Tyrone both walking home from the beach. On Tandy's way home, it's the start of her stealing days, as she steals a woman's phone to call home. She gets no answer, so she walks home, finds the spare key, and then finds her mom passed out from drinking and drugs on the couch, and Tandy pretty much thinks her mom's dead too, so she calls 911. On Ty's walk home, he sees a voodoo tour, wonders over, and what do you know, he's actually met Evita's Auntie Chantel before, as she's the one leading the tour, and she's talking about the differences between ghosts and spirits, and how ghosts don't want to harm people, they're about justice. Now this is something Tyrone actually remembers and uses later on in the episode as part of his plan to get Connors. So let's flash to the present, where both Tandy and Tyrone are trying to get justice by taking down Peter Scarborough and Vice Connors respectively. So the mood in Tyrone's house, like I said, is quite awkward, and it gets more awkward when Otis is like, he wants to have the Red Hawks over since they've never been over to the house, and he's reconnected with them. He thinks that they can all spread out their regalia in the big house and finish their work. Meanwhile, Adina seems just in her own little world and is just like, I'm gonna be busy today, whatever, and Tyrone's also in a testy mood. As for Tandy, she goes to visit Ivan at the hospital, and as she's in the hallway, she passes by Peter Scarborough, and he kind of gives her this look like, what the heck is this random girl that I've changed her tire for doing in the hallway trying to visit Ivan Hess? Something's fishy here. Tandy goes into Ivan's room and asks if he can remember anything from the night of the rig explosion, because she really needs to clear her dad's name. And Ivan says that Nathan did have a theory about the energy below the surface being something ancient, and there's something else that Ivan actually never told Scarborough. Nathan actually wrote a memo warning the company about the design of the rig and how they needed those heat protection shields, otherwise things would go wrong. Ivan regrets not listening to Nathan and watching Roxxon cut corners. He also reveals that Nathan kept the memo and a bunch of other stuff in a lockbox, but it's under a different name, and he tells Tandy where she can find it. But he warns Tandy that messing with Roxxon can be very dangerous, and that none of this can get back to him because he's trying to look out for Mina and her future. So Tandy returns home and brings Melissa some coffee, and it seems like we're actually seeing a new leaf turn over for Melissa. She doesn't put booze in her coffee. Baby steps, guys, baby steps. Although I wonder if anyone's actually told her what happened to Greg, because you'd think if that had happened, she'd be sitting there putting all the booze in her coffee. But Tandy tells Melissa she wants to do the memorial this year, and then she asks about the safety deposit box, which Melissa confirms but says that they've never had been able to find because there's been no record of it around town. And, well, Tandy now knows why there's no record of it, because it's not under her dad's name. So Tandy kicks off her mission and heads over to Tyrone's house of all places to get the next missing piece. She says she's there to check on Tyrone and she meets his parents, but really, she was there to steal Adina's Roxxon badge. Sneaky, sneaky. She then gets the contents of the lockbox and heads over to Roxxon and ends up kidnapping Peter, and she ends up telling him basically everything she has on Roxxon, showing him the memo, a piece of the rig, how she knows what happens to Greg, all this stuff, which I don't know if she should be telling everything. She even says how she knows how the gas or whatever turned the people on the rig against each other and the little terrors and all of this stuff. And I don't know, it just feels like kind of a bad move to show all of your cards to this guy. But Peter's like, you don't want to mess with Roxxon, your dad wasn't that great anyways, and that he says he can give her all the money that she needs for her and her mom to start over if she just hands over all the evidence. But Tandy turns him down. And I was just like, in this moment, hell yeah, Tandy, like, you're sticking to this new version of you and I like it, you're doing good. But that, of course, changes, and I'll get to that after we go back over to Tyrone and now Detective O'Reilly. So things seem good between O'Reilly and her boy toy cop Fuchs. I mean, he makes her pancakes and he wants her to be his girlfriend. But one thing he's not on board with quite yet is taking down Connors because he says it's too dangerous. But O'Reilly's pretty determined. Well, when she gets at work though, everyone's staring at her and she knows something's up, and then Connors calls her over to look at a police sketch of the kid that he says ran away from the shooting, which we know is Ty, and that sketch looks just like Tyrone. But O'Reilly tries to say she doesn't remember what the kid looked like, and now she knows Ty is truly in trouble. So she goes over to his house to warn him. But now Ty's like, I gotta put my plan into overdrive, and he's gotta get Connors before Connors can get him. But O'Reilly keeps saying, it's too dangerous, kid, leave this up to me. And then Tyrone's like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna leave it up to you. O'Reilly does tell Tyrone though that Connors is especially on edge today, and he must know that it's the anniversary of Billy's death. So Ty has plans to use this with his ultimate plan, which is a pretty good one. He gets a sweatshirt and puts fake blood on it, gets Billy's cloak that the Red Hawks have brought over, and he goes over to Fuchs' place and tells O'Reilly and Fuchs, here's my plan, but not before he makes sure that O'Reilly says Fuchs is a trustworthy good cop. Although I'm really still not completely sold on this guy. I feel like he just came out of nowhere. But Ty's plan, he says he's going to pretend to be Billy's ghost and force Connors to confront what he did and make him think he's going crazy, and basically get a confession out of Connors, much like the Telltale Heart. He then shows O'Reilly and Fuchs just what he can do when they're like, you can't do that, you're gonna be in danger, and he's like, yeah, I can, check out this cool thing I can do. And it's pretty fun to watch Tyrone's ghost plot play out against Connors.
Who are you?
You know who I am.
This all works, and Tyrone gets his confession out of Connors, and it's looking for him because Fuchs is right there filming the whole thing, and O'Reilly arrests Connors. They take him back to the station where O'Reilly and Fuchs are talking, and she actually mentions her friend Misty from New York, and that's where we get our connection to Luke Cage. Now, I actually don't watch Luke Cage, but I read that in Season 2, Episode 8 that recently came out, they mentioned O'Reilly on that show. So, right now they're connecting the dots by mentioning Misty on this show, one of Luke Cage's characters. And it's funny because this is the 8th episode of this season, that was the 8th episode of that season. I wonder if that actually meant something, but it does, I feel like, leave things open for a crossover of some sort, even though they're on different, networks or streaming things. And if it's not a full crossover, maybe we can still have a character pop in. You never know. Fingers crossed, right? But back to the story. As Fuchs leaves the station, he passes by Connors, who is handcuffed, and they exchange these looks. And it's kind of hard at first to tell the meaning of these looks. Are these like, I'm gonna get you, you're screwed looks? Are these like, I got you, we're gonna fix this, like I'm working with you still looks? I don't know what these kind of looks are, but it's still making me very uneasy about Fuchs. Like, I don't fully trust this guy yet. But now Tandy and Tyrone have gotten their man, and you think the episode's gonna end all happy because Tandy plans to take the evidence and stuff to the media to expose Roxxon, and Connors has been arrested, and we have Tandy and Tyrone at the beach for the memorial, and they're ready to start rebuilding their lives. Melissa joins them on the beach, and instead of a balloon, Tandy has gotten a lantern, which I actually love because Olivia Holt, who plays Tandy, is a huge Tangled fan, so I feel like this was a nice little nod to that, even though yes, I know lighting lanterns is a tradition that existed long before Tangled came out, but I think it's because she likes Tangled. But as they're having their moment of silence on the beach, Melissa grabs both Tandy and Tyrone's hands, and, well,
is this a fear?
Yeah, Tandy's like, is this a fear? And it sure looks like it is. They are plopped into Tandy's old house where there's a movie theater and Melissa's watching these old home movies looking all happy, and then the screen starts freaking out and I'm getting flashbacks to that scene with the slideshow and it that freaked me out. As long as a clown doesn't pop up right here, I'll be okay. The screen goes blank and Tandy rips through it with one of her light daggers and she's suddenly transported inside the home movie, and we actually see the dark side of her parents' relationship. Turns out that what Peter Scarborough said earlier in the episode about Tandy not really knowing who her dad might truly be is true. We see Melissa accidentally spill coffee on Nathan's papers and he turns around and slaps her. And then the lights go out and they're back on the beach and they do end up lighting the lantern, but you can see the mood is definitely off. Tandy then starts to walk home with Tyrone following her, and we see Tandy remember something her mom said to her when she was a little girl. That's probably a clue that life wasn't all that great between her mom and her dad. Her mom says to Tandy basically to not rely on anyone else because they're all on their own essentially. Now Tandy's so devastated to find out that her dad's name was never that good to start with that she resorts to old Tandy and calls Scarborough to say that she will take the money. And I'm like screaming at the TV screen, not literally, but in my head I'm thinking, Tandy, I was rooting for you. Tyra Banks, that gif is playing in my head right now. Like, she was doing so good, sweetie, right? Yeah, but Tandy takes that money and hides it in a statue. I hope she made copies of that evidence somehow. I don't know how. I hope she just didn't hand everything over, and otherwise, I don't know how she's gonna bring Roxanne down now. As for O'Reilly, she's still riding high from arresting Connors, and she's, dusting off her shoulders thinking she's got this guy, so she goes over to Fuchs' place with a box of pancake mix, because you know what that means. And yeah, she's trying to find Fuchs. She's like, all of a sudden, I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator. She opens that fridge, and well, yeah. His body is just hanging out inside there. It seems like Fuchs was actually one of the good ones after all. And Connors has people everywhere. The whole police station was staring at O'Reilly. I feel like she's like the only good cop in that place besides Fuchs. Well, now she's the only good cop because Fuchs is dead. And people are willing to take her down. I'm just curious why they wouldn't go after O'Reilly. Like, just go straight for the throat and get O'Reilly. But of course, for the purpose of the show, they couldn't do that because she's a main character and you can't just kill her off right in the first season, right? Although, where the hell's Liam been? He's a series regular too, I think, right? He's in the promo shots, but we haven't seen him in a while. But yeah, let's just say I don't think O'Reilly's going to be looking at pancakes the same anymore. And that ends the episode. And yeah, just when you thought, like I said, things were going to go out on a high note, they were going to remember Billy and Nathan, it was going to be nice with this memorial and the lighting of the lantern, they had to throw in that fear and the truth about Nathan, and then we had Fuchs dying. Yeah, O'Reilly's really going to have to watch her back now. It's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be some good action coming in these last 2 episodes. Things are truly picking up, and now that they are full steam ahead, I'm kind of sad there's only 2 episodes left. I wish there was a couple more. Not like 20 episodes, but maybe they could have made it 13 episodes. I feel like that would have been a good number, but we'll just have to settle for 10 here. But if I learned anything from this episode, basically the good guys better watch their backs because we're running out of good guys. First you had Greg and then Fuchs. Yeah, better not get too close to Tandy or O'Reilly or Tyrone or you're going to be gone there. But Tandy and Tyrone pretty much sort of got their bad guys, but now they've just sort of made things worse. But like I said earlier, this episode was actually fun for me. I really liked getting to see Tyrone use his powers in this episode because I feel like the past couple episodes, it's been more about Tandy controlling her powers and using her daggers for all this and all this. We've seen a little bit of Tyrone's powers. In the last episode, he used them to help, get Ivan free, but this one really, it was Tyrone's episode to shine in that way, and I like that, and I like that we got his cloak on. It's almost like seeing him in his full getup, and now I'm just curious what Tandy's getup is going to look like. But for now, let's watch the promo for the next episode.
You had a white cop on tape confessing to killing a black kid. Have you been paying attention? Put yourself in their crosshairs.
You and me ain't finished yet.
Nothing changes. It just is, again and again.
Why not stand up for the world the way it should be?
Oh snap, like shiz is definitely going down on this next episode. We got Connors versus O'Reilly in a legit brawl, like they're beating each other up. Doesn't matter if it's a man and a woman, it seems like they're really going after it. And like I said, what the heck, where the hell is Liam? What's he doing this entire time? Like, he's been pretty much a useless character, I feel like. At least Evita's been popping up a lot more, and her auntie has something to do with something. The voodoo stuff and all of this. But also a character that seems like it's going to come up a lot more in the next episode is Tyrone's mom, who I've been curious about this whole time because she works for Roxxon. Like, what does she do there? Why does she protect this company? I feel like she probably knows how bad they are and she's helping cover them up, and I just want to know a little bit more of that. But yeah, like I said, 2 episodes left in this season, and let's hope it ends with a big bang. But now it is your turn to sound off down in the comments below about your thoughts on this episode. What do you think about Tandy's decision? Should she have just all of a sudden assumed that this fear that she saw is legit and take the money? Should she have confronted her mother first to find out the truth and then decide about the money, or did she just throw away her chance at bringing Roxxon down? And what about Tyrone? Do you think he'll actually get to bring Connors fully down? Same with O'Reilly. Are they both in danger now? Let me know, sound off down in the comments, and then after that, be sure to hit that subscribe button and thumbs up if you like what you see. You can check out more of my recaps and interviews and whatever right over here. And yeah, come back and hang out with me very, very soon. My name's Lisa, and shine on.